This is a copy of the Shulchan Aruch. We're learning Baal Shem Tov on Tefillah. So I'm figuring, Baal Shem Tov is Hasidus, Kabbalah, Hasidus, and that is a level higher than the Shulchan Aruch. So I was thinking, we're learning the higher level. Do we have the basic level before we have the higher level? In order to have the higher level, you can't build, an apartment house starting at the top floor. You have to build the bottom 4 floors. Then you add another floor afterwards. You have to have the foundation. It has to be strong. You have a strong foundation, you can build higher floors. But you can't start building on the higher floor without the foundation first. So I decided, I want to check to see how these topics that we're learning are being treated in the Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch is based on Mishnah, on the Gemara, on how the Rishonim, the early commentators, the Rambam, how they treated it, and the conclusion of all that is put into the Shulchan Aruch. So I found there are many, many similarities, and the Baal Shem Tov doesn't add that much, but he does give a certain, I would say, touch to it that's not here. So we'll take a look at this. Before I want to say this, I don't want to forget. We have 3, besides today, if I remember correctly, we have 3 more Sundays before Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the last week of Kislev, Chaf Hei Kislev. So we have, besides today, we have 3 more. The last Sunday before Hanukkah is right before Hanukkah. So we have 2 more afterwards. And the last one, 2 days before Hanukkah. Hanukkah starts, I think, Wednesday or Thursday, something like that. So I want to learn here all the kavanos. So people just, Hanukkah, it's a time, when we have a lot of light, or is being revealed, and we make the brachas, and the time for all kinds of chagigot and parties and so Hanukkah party, all that stuff. There's so much that it's the only time that we have in the year that's 8 days besides Sukkot. So you can imagine that it's 8 days. We don't Pesach is 7 days. Then Shavuos is only 1 day, and then you have Sukkot. That's it. It's 8 days Sukkot. But which Shmini Atzeres? Sukkot itself is 7. Shmini Atzeres maybe a different. It's part of Sukkot. Okay, it's 8. So the fact that Hanukkah is 8 days shows us the level of what Hanukkah really is. But it's something that's just hidden. Something that's just hidden. It seems to be something light, and it's not an official yontif. And you got to do balacha on Hanukkah, so on and so forth. But there are a lot of kavanos that we're supposed to have when we're lighting the candles. And these kavanos that we have bring the maximum to'eles, the maximum benefit. And if we have them when we've done it, so you'll see, it's going to be a much more richer experience this year. You're lighting the Hanukkah candles after we do our shiurim. So Mi'at Hashem, we'll start on it next week. And we'll have a ability to go over it 3 times. I don't know if we'll cover it all in 1 week, but we'll have 3 Sundays to cover over all the kavanas that we have to have for Hanukkah, the basic, the background information, and we'll leave it for the time being. I think the Baal Shem Tov, he'll be masking. He'll be masking. I don't know if there's any kavanas of the Baal Shem Tov on Hanukkah, but we'll use the kavanas that we have, all this smarim on Chasidus, and that's so we can understand the deeper meaning of Hanukkah and appreciate it more. Okay. So last week we learned a very important thing. I want to go review on for one moment, because I told it over to a number of people on Shabbos, and they were really amazed. And this is also, it was a new, I would say, idea to me as well. We're learning about how to understand tefillah according to the Baal Shem Tov, and you have to have kavanah. We keep stressing this point of kavanah over and over and over and over again. Well, the Baal Shem Tov, of course, is not the first one who says you have to have kavanah. It's brought down in the Gemara, and it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch that you have to daven with kavanah. We're going to see it in the page that I brought you today, but you have to have kavanah. I was in elementary school. We used to have this phrase that we were taught: Tefillah b'li kavanah, kiguf b'li neshama. And it's very, very tricky. It's a very nice phrase. I told them there was some people who never heard that They liked it very much. And there's so much depth in that. Tefillah without a kavanah is like a body without a neshama. It's the whole essence of the tefillah is dependent on the kavanah. That's the basis of everything. So the Baal Shem Tov brings a pasuk, and that pasuk is not his first time he brings it. The pasuk is brought in the Gemara. It's a pasuk quoted from David HaMelech in Tehillim. In Perek Yud of Tehillim, I think it's pasuk Yud Zayin. The end of the pasuk says, how do you know how important it is to have kavanah during davening? Because it says, Tachin libam takshiv oznecha. David HaMelech is praying to Hashem for the aniyim, for the poor people in his time. And he says, Tachin libam, if their hearts are prepared, takshiv oznecha, your ears will hear what they have to say. If their hearts are prepared. So you see what the first step is, prepare the heart. In other words, have the preparation. Set yourself up. Be in the right mental state. Then Hashem will listen to what you have to say. The only problem is the wording of that pasuk makes you think. It doesn't say, Yachinu libam, they should prepare their hearts. If I asked you, what is the way to go about asking Hashem for anything you want, and then he should listen to you? So you say, well, you have to daven well, you prepare yourself, put yourself in the right mental state, get the right emotionally prepared for it. If you do all the preparations, some people say, oh, you have to go to the mikveh first. Make sure you have tahara also. Go to the mikveh, and you maybe come early to daven, and you say some tilim to get yourself in the right mindset, so then Hashem will listen to you. But you have to do the work. What does the pasuk say? It's amazing. The pasuk says, David HaMelech says to Hashem, not doesn't say, Yachinu libam, they should prepare their hearts. David HaMelech says to Hashem, Tachin libam, you prepare their hearts, and then you will listen to what they have to say. What does that mean? Hashem has to prepare their hearts? David HaMelech saying, you prepare the hearts of these poor people who have all these needs, and then you listen to their requests? What do you mean you prepare the hearts? A person has a need, so he prepares himself. He wants to go into the king. You go and make all the preparations. You come and dress properly, and you speak with respect, and you prepare yourself. And then you're hopefully that Hashem will listen to you. David HaMelech is saying an amazing thing. We think that's it. You do the preparation, and Hashem will listen to you if you prepare properly. David HaMelech says no. Don't think you can do it yourself. Even to prepare to talk to Hashem, you have to have Hashem to help you. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? I would say, I want to ask something from Hashem. I prepare myself. And then hopefully Hashem will listen to me. But I have to do the preparations. I got to put the work in. Want to see results? I have to put the work in, then I'll see results. David HaMelech says, no, Hashem. Tachin libam, you help them prepare. In other words, besides asking Hashem for what we need, we have to ask Hashem to help us prepare to talk to Him. That's absolutely amazing. Even the hachana, even the preparations to talk to Hashem, you need siyata d'shmaya to help you do the preparation properly. That's amazing. It's amazing. Even if you like, once you hear it, you understand it. Because you want to make sure you prepare properly. If you don't prepare properly, so the result is not going to be, a good result. The preparation has to be a proper preparation. If you don't know how to prepare, then you're not going to be able to get your results, what you want, because you didn't prepare properly. So in order to prepare properly, you need Hashem to help you. So that was what we learned last week. So David HaMelech says, Tachin libam, you help me. Hashem is asking Hashem to help them prepare themselves, and then you will listen to what they say. Of course, they have to go through the motions, they have to go through all the preparation that they have to do, but they should not think, and you have to realize, Hashem, don't expect them to be successful on their own. You have to help them prepare. If you help them prepare, then the hachana will be a good hachana, and then you will listen to what they said because it was presented the way it's supposed to. Okay, that was last week. Now let's take a look, please, at the sheet in front of you. I'm going to give you one sheet here. No, not that. No, not that. All right. I have one. One? You hear the sheet. He doesn't have a sheet.
I was just going to problem see.
You can't see it? Okay. What? Let's listen. Let's look at what the Shulchan Aruch says. This is not Baal Shem, the Shulchan Aruch. Hamispalel Tzadik Ches there. Tzadik Ches. You see that Tzadik Ches? Tzadik Ches? On this side. Tzadik Ches.
Which?
The other side. You have two sides. You have two sides on the page. Look what it says, Tzadik Ches. In the middle of the page, toward the bottom. Tzadik Ches. You see that? Tzadik Ches?
It's the top or something?
The other side.
The top or?
In the middle, it's a Tzadik Ches.
Oh, Tzadik Ches, right.
Okay, got it? Tzadik Ches?
Yep.
Okay, this is Halach and Shulchan Aruch. Hamispalel tzar sheyachaven belibo peirush hamilos. You hear this? Chanoch.
I'm listening.
You have to know what you're saying. You should understand the words you're saying. And I would say, if you don't understand what you're saying, say it in the language that you do understand.
Check it out.
Say it in English. That's it. So you have to understand what you're saying, or you can do it both ways. Have a sitter with an English translation. You say it in Hebrew, and then look at the English, what the English says. So you know what you said. That's what you do, right?
That's the Chabad to know.
Okay, very good. But not everybody does that. The Baal Shem Tov has a trick. He says, not as far as the understanding of the words, Baal Shem Tov says, in Parshas Noach, the beginning of Parshas Noach, it says, Bo ata u'chol mishpachta el ha-teva. Teva is a word for the ark, but the word teva in Hebrew also means a word.
What?
A word. The word teva means an ark, but it also means a word.
What's natural or nature? What is nature?
Natural is teva.
Oh, okay.
Now this is teva, teva with a tuf. Teva with a tuf. Teva is with a tes. Okay. So the pasuk says there, Bo el teva, come into the ark. So the Baal Shem Tov says, isn't that amazing? It's not a coincidence that the word for ark and the word for a word is exactly the same word. Why is that so? Why it's so, I don't know. But we can figure out that an ark contains things, you put things inside an ark, and a word also has to have things put into it. What do you put into the word? You put yourself into the word. Become part of the word. Dive into the word. That's what the Baal Shem Tov says. You can't have all the kavanas that the rabbis in the Gemara had, and when the Mishnah had, when they composed all these tefillahs, all their kavanas. You'll never have all their kavanas of the Arizals. You won't be able to do it. So what do? I can't do it, so what? I just close the theater and go home? No. Bo el teva. Just think of yourself, think of the letters, or look at the words in the siddur, look at the letters, and imagine yourself going into the word, becoming part of the word, diving into the word. The word is a large word, a large letter, and you're going into the word, and you're offering it up to Hashem. I'm putting my whole self into the word. Everything I have, I'm inside. I'm part of the word. Baal Shem Tov says, that's it. If you do that, you can't do anything more. You did the maximum. You put your whole self into the word. You mavatal yourself. I don't want to be myself anymore. I'm going into the word. I'm offering myself up to you like a korban. You take a korban, you burn it on the base of Midrash, and it goes up to Hashem. I'm doing the same thing with myself. Putting myself into the word comes out of my mouth, and it flies up to you, and I'm with it. I'm giving you the maximum. That's Baal Shem Tov's trick. So you don't have to have all the kavanas. All you have to do is say, I'm going into the word, and the word's going to go up. I'm pushing it as much as I can, concentrating, saying it properly, but I can't have all the kavanas. But my main kavanah is that I'm offering myself to you through the word. Yeah.
So you can say that a word is an ark for ideas.
That's exactly it. You hit it on the nose. That's exactly the same thing. Just like an ark contains things, the word also contains. What does it contain? Contains all your kavanah, all your emotion, your whole self. You put into the word. So the word is an ark for you. Correct? Absolutely. Very good. Very good. Okay. It says, let's look further in the text. V'yachshov. Ki'ilu shchina kenegdo. When you're standing in front of God, think of it as if you're standing in front of Hashem's presence. The Shekhinah is right opposite you, and you're addressing the Shekhinah. V'yasir kol ha'machshavos hatrudos. And you have to push out from your mind all disturbing thoughts. Until your thoughts and your intentions are pure, betfilasa. Think of yourself, put yourself into the mental state. If you invited to speak to a very, very important personality, a head of an organization, the president of an organization, the president of a political party, the president of the country, you're talking in front of the king, and you're standing in front of him. You're going to be totally, totally energized and concentrating on everything that you do, everything you say. That's how you have to think of it. Before you start, Hashem Sanazai Tiftach. Even before you say that, this is where you have to have the mental state. As if you're standing in front of a king who has the power of life and death. Any king who has the power of life and death, if you're disrespectful to the king, you're out, finished. And how would you appear if you were in such a case, standing in front of a king? Even he's a human king, but he has the power of life and death, and you're standing in front of him. You would be very careful. You prepare yourself, go over the words beforehand. You may even want to read it from a paper, make sure you don't make a mistake. You wouldn't say it by heart. You want to make sure you say the words rightly, and you're going to read it to him. And have beautiful kavanos. Why? You don't want to stumble. And kalvachomer lifnei melech malchlei hamlochim. That's an abbreviation. Mem hem hey. And surely, if that was a melech bas of Adam, a human king, surely in front of the God of gods, melech, king of kings, melech hamlochim, hakadosh baruch hu, shu choker kol hamachshavos. Hashem sees into your mind. He knows everything you're thinking, every thought. You're standing in front of a human king. He doesn't know what's going on inside you. He can't see inside. He has no mental telepathy to see what's inside you. But Hashem does. Hashem does. The kach, listen to what he says now. This is very interesting. The kach hoyu osin chasidim v'ansei maisa. The Beis Yosef is writing this. This was in the 1500s. He's saying in the early generations, the people who are real tzaddikim, the real Hasidim, before Hasidus that we know started, Hasidus that we know started with the Baal Shem Tov. There's a whole new movement. But there was things which Hasidim in the world beforehand. There wasn't a movement. Individual people who took on a certain way of life, they didn't have to have Streimlach, they have to have a Bekesher or Kapata or Gartlach, none of that stuff. That doesn't make you a real Chassid. What makes you a real Chassid is your whole relationship with God. You want to have a perfect relationship with God. You want to do everything on the upper level. You don't want to be satisfied with the minimum. You want to do everything to make Hashem happy. These are the Chassidim Rishonim, Anshe Maisa, the people who were very makbar on their deeds. What would they do? This is what he says. They understood that Hashem is nothing to play around with. This is serious stuff. Hayu Mizbodidim, they would go into solitary confinement on their own. Umechavnim bitfilason, and they had kavanas acha hoyu magiyim. Listen to this, lespashtus hagashmus. You hear that? Isn't that amazing? They would go into such a state, a mental state, that they came to a level that they lost contact with the physical world. This is the way they daven. I imagine he's talking about people who daven on their own, by themselves. They didn't have minyanim like we have all over, a shul here, a shul there, shtibel here, shtibel there. They didn't have all that. Maybe they got together, they had a group of people who were on that level, they did it all together. It could be. I'm sure they would prefer to do that way. But if they had it done on their own, they would go into a state of preparation and get to a point where they were so into it, and so out of contact, they didn't know they're in this world. As we call it, hispashtus hagshamus. They look complete discontact from the physical world. Uli hisgabrus koach hasichli. And their mind was activated Koach hasikli, their mind was activated, it became powerful. Ad shehoyu magiyim korov l'maylas hanavua. Isn't he? Hear what he's saying? What kind of level this is? People became so intense in their desire to connect. They got to a point where they almost reached the level of nevuah, of prophecy. Absolutely amazing. This is not Rabbanim or anything, or Tanoim. No, people who want to connect to Hashem, they're Hasidim, they want to do things to make Hashem happy, they want to do things the right way, they want to do it in the most, I would say, beautiful way. They put energy into it. Now, V'im tovolo machshov acheres. What happens if you try hard, and nevertheless a thought enters your mind, b'toch hatfilah? What do? So this we saw from the Baal Shem Tov also. He says, yishtok. The first thing you have to do is, don't say words where your mind is not in the words. Don't say words. It's empty words, as we said before. Tefillah without a kavanah is like a guf without a neshama. You're saying empty words which have no content whatsoever. Your mind is someplace else. The words are meaningless. Meaningless. Yishtok. However, I saw a very interesting video that somebody sent, a Hasidic Jew sent, very interesting video. He gives here a case. People are on the highway, and there's tremendous traffic jams. And it's a 4-lane highway, and the cars are just stopped and moving inch by inch. I don't know what's keeping it, so packed that way, but it's a tremendous jam, and no one's able to get anywhere. There's one lane on the side for what we call Nativ Tziburi, for public transportation. Taxis can go there and buses can go there. And this fellow's in this traffic jam, and he's looking out, and he sees the buses are, they're really moving. They're 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. They're going, and everyone's standing in the middle, and they're stopped. They can't move. He says, this Hasidic Jew says, same thing works with tefillah. If you work on your own, you're going to be stopped, and they're going to investigate you and check into every word that you say, and it'll go inch by inch if you move at all. But if you're davening with a tzibur, like the buses there at tzibur, they have a special ticket they go through, and then your tefillahs are going to be much more accepted, much more easily. So it's very, very important, he said, to daven tefillah b'tzibur. Then you're part of a group. You're part of a tzibur. It's like the buses will have a special lane. The tziburi, they can go, and they're not in the traffic jams. They go through. You want your tefillah to go through. You want it to be accepted. Make sure you daven together with a tzibur. And I would say sometimes a person is honest. He can't make it usual for whatever it is. Try to daven at the same time that the davening is going on in shul, even though you're at home. But have your mind to be at the same time of day. You know more or less what time it is when they get to the Shemona Esrei. Try to daven Shemona Esrei at the same time. Because we learn how important it is, kavanah. Kavanah. If I have my kavanah to go along with that tzibur, I'm in a different building, I'm blocks away. They're davening Shemona, and I want to be part of them. It could be that min hashamayim you have some kind of a schus, because you're davening at the same time with them, and you want to be part of them, but you're an onus. For whatever reason is, you couldn't make it. But at least you have the kavanah to daven at the same time they're davening. It could be that you're going to be accepted together with their tefillah. But you have to daven at the same time that they're davening. So even though you're not with them, but of course, it's much better to be with the davening in the tzibur together in the shul. Okay. So he says, what happens? You try your best, and nevertheless, maybe you didn't try hard enough. A machshava comes into your mind, something has nothing to do with the davening. What do? He says, second line, yishto. The first thing is, be quiet. Don't say anything. Don't make a fool out of yourself. Say empty words that have no neshama in them. Yishtok ashet is batal machshava. You have to grab a hold of yourself, take yourself in hand, and make sure you can get rid of the thought. You have to stop davening, and in your mind, get it out of your head. Get it out of your head, push it out of your mind. Push it out of your mind. Well, there are ways to do that. He's going to give us some tricks. The Baal Shem Tov also gave us a trick, but we'll see what he says. Try to think of things that will make you humble. They'll bring you on track back to have kavanah to speak to your Father in heaven. And don't think of things that are going to be, lightheaded, things that you enjoy, and that will be on your mind. No, you have to think that you're standing in front of the Master of the world, King of Kings, Melech Melchim Lachem. You have to get yourself back on the proper frame of reference, proper frame of mind, the proper emotional state. So that's what you have to do. Try to think of the things that make you humble and realize where you are and who you are addressing. So he says, this is the Shulchan Aruch. That was the Beis Yosef. Now he says, the Ramah, Hagav v'yachshov kodem hatfilah. Before you start davening, to get yourself on the right track, mirovamos ha'el yisale, think about the loftiness of God, who you are now going to address. You didn't start yet. Ubeshifmus ha'adam, and you compare it to him, how low you are. V'yasir kol ta'anuki ha'adam libo. Don't think of anything that will give you pleasure. Nothing will give you pleasure. You avato all those all together. Look at the next line, amazing line. V'asar la'adam l'nashek banav hakatani bebeis hakneses. Isn't that amazing? At this point, he brings in a halacha which has nothing to do with davening. A person should not bring little children, grandchildren, to shul with him. Why? Why not? Because sometimes you have to come to them, you have to give them a kiss in the shul. It's usher to kiss your grandchildren or children or your neighbors, whoever it is, nieces, nephews, whatever you want to say. Usher to kiss them. Why, little children? I'm not doing anything wrong. Just trying to pacify them, quiet them down. Everything has a time and a place. When you're in a shul, all of your emotions have to be directed only to one source, only to Hashem. All of your ahava, all of your love has to be directed only to Hashem. There's no room for sharing love even to children or grandchildren. That's what he says. Asal la'adam l'nashek banav hakatani bebeis hakneses. He doesn't say you shouldn't bring them. But if you're going to bring them, you have to realize that you are limited in what you can do with them if they become a little bit fidgety. You cannot give them a kiss. Kedei likbor balibo she'ein ahava ki ahavas hamako. You have to have in your mind, at this point, there's no love that can be compared to your love of Hashem. You cannot share that love with anybody, even your own children or grandchildren. Very important.
This is a well-known halakha.
Huh?
This is a well-known halakha.
Well, what can I tell you? It's not hidden. It's in the Shulchan Aruch. It's not hidden. Whether people do it or not, I don't know. I mean, it's easy, very easy not to know this, and very easy. You figure, what's so terrible? I didn't do anything wrong. I'm just trying to quiet them down. What is it? That's all. We make them feel good. It's a time and a place. You want to give them a kiss? Take them outside the shul. Go out in the hallway. You give them a kiss there and quiet them down. Not in the base of Knesset. When you're standing in front of the Aron Kodesh, that's not the place to do it. Okay, so we finished this sif. Let's take a look at the Mishnah Brura, what he says here on this piece. You have to go back to the first page. We turned the page already. Go back to the first page. Aleph. Perish Amilos. So he says there on the left side on the bottom, Perish Amilos. Ve'al Yachavin Ha'adam. This is very interesting what he's saying now. B'shemos v'yichudim. Don't think of all the kavanas of the Kabbalah. Shemos yichudim. Rak yispalel kipshuta. This is the Chafetz Chaim. I'm absolutely sure the Chafetz Chaim knew the Kabbalistic kavanas of the Tefillah too. But he's saying to the people who he's writing for, think of only the simple words. Lahavin hadvarim b'kavanas halev. No understand what you're saying and have your heart in there. Unless imlo mishu ba b'sod Hashem v'yodei lachavin b'zeh. Believe over Usa. Unless you're experienced, then you know how to do it properly with the Kabbalistic kavanos, then it's okay. The lav hachi, but if you do it otherwise, you're trying and you're not really experienced, you haven't been taught how to do it, mekalkel b'zeh harbei. You're doing more damage than you are good. Mekalkel. I am going to run B'Shem Hazor. He's bringing you that the Zohar backs up what he's saying. But Chuvas Rashal, Kosam Ba'orech, he wrote a lengthy writing Tshuva. He wrote Ve'ayid al Harash. He's talking about one of the early Rishonim, Sha'amar. He said, Acharei Shalamad Sisri Kabbalah. This is amazing. After he learned all the secrets of the Kabbalah and the Davening, so how did he daven? Humispalo Ketino Kenyomo. Even after he learned all the Kavanas, he davened like a baby. Aleph means this means that. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't want to take it on himself to have all those deep Kavanas. I tell you, I was learning, somebody suggested I have to give a share on Tuesday night someplace else, and they asked that we learn after the Sefer Tanya, in the back of the Sefer of the Tanya, the volumes that I have, there are a few others that the Baal Tanya wrote, and one of them is called Igeres HaKodesh. Igeres HaKodesh. A letter that he wrote, I don't know, a holy letter. So in there, in the first few paragraphs, he said an amazing thing. He says, during the week, Balabatim should not go over to Bishliach Tzibur. Why not? Why should Balabatim be Shliach Tzibur? Because they're in a rush. They have to go to work. And they can't, really concentrate because they're worried about, be on the office on time or reading the customers, whatever they have to do. And they're not the ones who should lead the tefillah. They're going to go too fast. He says, how long do you think davening should take during the week? What do you think the average davening should take? Minimum. What would be the minimum amount of time? He writes this out. I was amazed to see it. He writes this out. How long do you think davening should take, the minimum amount of time during the week? He doesn't want the Balabatim to go over because they won't have the patience. They're going to go fast, and everyone's going to have to follow them, and it's not going to be the way it's supposed to. The davening won't be the way the davening is supposed to be. Give me an example. How long do you think the Balatanya says the davening should take during the week? From the beginning to the end, not just one essay, the beginning to the end. What do you think? How long?
40 minutes.
40 minutes. What do you say?
Well, half an hour.
No.
Last week he says an hour and a half.
You're right. I told you last week?
Yes.
Oh, I forgot. I told you last week. He says an hour and a half. From the beginning to the end. It doesn't have to one essay alone. An hour and a half. That was amazing to me. Amazing. Where do you find a minion like that today?
You don't.
Shachris? An hour and a half. For Shachris. An hour and a half. That's, he says, minimum. Minimum. You want to go longer? Okay, fine. But an hour and a half. That means it's work. Davening is work. It's not something you do because, that's the way I was brought up and you have to go to shul and that's it, you do it. And you finish and you go, and you go with your day. Davening is a occupation that takes time, it takes preparation. It's got to be said carefully. Say the words, don't mumble them, don't. It takes time. It takes time. An hour and a half. Okay. So he says in the Mishnah Berurah here.
Could there be two different times?
Excuse me?
Could there be two different times between what I might call a working man's minion and people who really have it?
Well, look, if the truth of the matter is, even a working man, if he really is serious about it, he can daven with the Vasikin minion, with the Nates. Daven early, and then he has plenty of time. Get to work on time, and then he can put in the hour and a half. If he davens early, it can be done. So you have to go to sleep early. You have to arrange a day. But that's the point. It's something which is a serious undertaking. Remember, we said, the world stands on three pillars. Torah, Avoda, Gemilas Chasadim. Avoda today is not Karbanis anymore, it's Tefillah. This is our service to Hashem on a daily basis. So if this is one of the pillars that holds up the world, you want to have that pillar to be strong. It's only three pillars. The world can't stand on two. It has to have three. So that one is a very important one. It requires putting time into it.
Is Nate's generally longer?
It depends on, which, there are people who daven nets also will take an hour, for 45 minutes. But you have more of a, there's no excuses. See, if you're davening a nets minion, so even if they go fast, you say, okay, let them go fast. I'm going to go at my pace. I'll just make sure I start one esrei at the nets. And I'm not interested in finishing at any time. I have plenty of time. And I'll do it the right way. I'll make sure every bracha is one esrei is said carefully. I try to have the kavanah, understand what I'm saying, and we'll do like Baal Shem Tov. It can be done. It can be done. There's really no excuses. Really no excuses. Okay. Last line of the Mishnah on that page at the bottom there. I am B'nei Yeshua, Reish Peret Ein Ogdim, Shekosam, De'elu HaKavados HaMavurim Kan B'Shulchan Aruch. Well, he says, what's written here in the Shulchan Aruch, next page, what we said here about all the preparations you have to do, the time to do the preparations is not at the beginning of the davening, but before, rakodim, before you start the davening. But the tefillah itself, you have to think of what you're saying. And if you don't know what you're saying, look at the translation, and at the very least, think of what the Baal Shem Tov said, put yourself into the words. I'm concentrating on the letters. I don't understand the entire meaning of the words, but whatever the words are, you, Hashem, take them up, and I'm putting myself into it. Okay. Next thing, Beis. He says there on the next page, we are on the next page, you just turn the page, Yishtok, Beis. B'Sefer Hagan, Kosav, here look, is a trick. Baal Shem Tov gave us a trick also, but he has his own trick. Look what he says. B'Sefer Hagan, I don't know what Sefer is, I never saw that Sefer, Kosav, Levatel machshava ro'a b'shas hatfilah. If a thought, a disturbing thought comes into your mind during davening, how do you get rid of it? Yomar gimel pamim fi. Who Rashi Tevos? This is the Rashi Tevos fi. Palti Yosef. Dehain his gabru al yetzel libo. This Palti Yosef. This was a group that had a special koach to overcome their emotions and their thoughts with their mind. And if you say fi, it's palti yosef, pei yud. And you say that 3 times, could the Issa b'Sanhedrin, yachakach yorok, gimel pamim, and you give a little spit come out of your mouth, a very small amount, v'lo yorok lagamri, but don't do it, in a real obvious way. Rak b'derech nachas, very a small tip of saliva come out of your mouth, the halashon between the tongue, tehei beinas masayim b'shas harich. You can put your tongue in between the lips at that time, or v'vadai telech hamachshava. He says it's a guarantee that if you use this trick, the machshavas will fade away, they won't bother you. So again, fi, or p, because it's palti yosef probably. You say it 3 times, then you spit out a drop from your mouth, and that is going to help you get rid of all these kavaros. Because it's using something that they were experts in. Palti Yosef.
What's Palti Yosef mean?
The words itself translated out means those who are emanated from Yosef. Now, I don't know exactly what that means, who it was, but these were people, maybe from the Shevet of Yosef, that they put a lot of koach into overcoming their thoughts, and they were successful. Overcoming their, so you're using that formula in mentioning them, and by mentioning them, you bring them in to help yourself. This is a very important idea. I'll give you a very important example. You say the Palti Yosef. Here's the idea. Listen to this. People have all kinds of names. What is in a name? What's in a name? What is a name? You have to realize one thing. It's an extremely, extremely deep inyan. A name that is given to a person, especially by us at a bris or a girl who's born, the parents give a name. That name is decreed by Shomayim. It's not the parents who ask relatives and think about their ancestors. You get a name after this one, after that one. That's all fine and good, and it's very, very true. But it's all a cover-up to the truth. The truth is, Min HaShamayim, they want this name for that child, and it comes through all of these calculations that the parents make after this one, after that one. I have this in mind, that in mind. That's all fine and good. But hidden behind the real truth is Hashem has decreed that name for them, and the parents happen to be the shlichim to deliver it forever. Cheshbon, they think that their reasons are. But that's not the truth. The truth is, it's the decree of Hashem. Why was that name given? Because that name depicts the shorish of the neshama of that person. The parents don't really know it, but Hashem knows what the Shorosh of that neshama is this is the name for that child, and the parents will give the name, or whoever gives the name, wherever it is, if it's a Yosef, doesn't matter, the name is given because that was Min Hashem already decreed. And when you call the person by that name, you are arousing the person's neshama to be active and to do things that are good. So it's very important to always to call a person by his proper name and not to use nicknames. Names are a very, very deep, important thing. And therefore he says here also, if you use this abbreviation, PPP, it's an abbreviation of Palti Yosef, and you are arousing the schus of these people, Palti Yosef, who are able to overcome their thoughts and control them. And therefore you'll be able to do the same thing. So always try to use, in general, from here we learn the importance of using proper names, and trying to choose, of course, a name which I think is fitting, but you're not realizing the real reason that you're giving the name. The real reason you're giving the name is because Shamayim, it was programmed that you should give that name, and you think you're doing it for your reasons. Fine. That's good and true, but that's not the real truth. The real truth beyond it is that Min Hashamayim, it was so decreed. So it's very important to think of a name and use it when the person is given that name, not to make up nicknames or short versions of the name. Always try to use the proper name. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so he's saying also this idea of giving a little bit of saliva out of the mouth. He says, the Mishnah Berurah says, the Chafetz Chaim says, "Ein nirli lasos zeh betok tefillah shmon esrei davei hefsek." He said you can't say this PPP in the middle of davening, because you're in the middle of a bracha. How can you say PPP? It's not. That's the words. They're not the words. It's a hefsek. You can't do that. The Havi Hefsek Umiyah there im Refuah Badukahi. And he's saying, the Chafetz Chaim, he's wondering, this is what we have handed down to us. Do we know for sure that this is going to help? Are you absolutely sure? How do you know that? Absolutely sure? You don't know. But nevertheless, he's bringing it nevertheless. I would say the following. I would say, it's not a Hefsek. Why is it not a Hefsek? What's considered a Hefsek? I'm davening Shmon Esrei, and I'm thinking of the words that I'm saying, but all of a sudden all strange thoughts come to my mind, so I don't want to go on, so I stop. And I try to get my thoughts back on track. So I'm not distracting myself by other things. I'm trying my very hard. I'm working to get back on track. This is one of the methods that I use to get back on track. So it's not really something which is out of the davening. It's part of my efforts to get back on track, so it's not really a hefsek. I'm there all the time. I'm trying to concentrate. It is helping me concentrate. So it's something which is involved in what you're doing. So it's not something that you're thinking about which has no connection at all. On the contrary, it's connected to what you're trying to do, get you back on track. So therefore, I would say it's not. But he says maybe yes, maybe not. He's not giving you, a very strong against of it, but he says it's not proper. He don't think it's proper to do it Midrash Shmon Esrei, and also you don't know for sure it's going to work. Okay. Here's another way to try to overcome this problem of strange thoughts that come to Shmon Esrei. He said, look, before you start Shmon Esrei, he's giving you a good eitzah. Everyone can use this. This is no problem to use this before Shmon Esrei. Before you start Shmon Esrei, kodem atfila, ya'avir gimel pamim yad yemino al mitzcha. Put your hand on your forehead 3 times, like this, before you start Shmon Esrei, as if to wipe away all extraneous thoughts. But he says, v'yomar b'chol pam leiv tahar broli Elohim. Give me a leiv tahor, a pure heart, v'ruach nachon chadesh b'kirbi, and give me a proper spirit. V'chein imbolo machshavas chutz b'toch hatfilah. The same thing if it happens during davening. Yishtoch mat, be careful, be silent. V'yav yimino al netzlo v'yahayir pasuk hanal. In the Midrash Rehavia, you shouldn't say those words, but you should think the pasuk. Put your hand on your forehead 3 times, as if to wipe away the extraneous thoughts. Before davening Shmon Esrei, he said you could say the pasuk. Leiv tahor b'rol Elokim, b'ruach nachon chadesh b'kibi. It's pasuk in Tehillim. But during Shmon Esrei, you can't say the pasuk, so you can think it. If you think it, so this is an eitzah of the shlah. So we have two eitzahs. Two eitzahs. One is the PPP. The Mishnah Berurah brings that from earlier sources. That certainly can be done before Shemona Esrei. But if it happens during the Shemona Esrei, he holds it's not so great to do it, but others say you can do it. But the other one that the Shlomo brings out before you start Shemona Esrei. So every time before Shachris, before Mincha, before Mariv, wipe your hand across your forehead as if to wipe away all extraneous thoughts, and you say, Leiv Tahor Bro Leiv, Ruach Nachon Chadesh Bekirbi. Leiv Tahor, pure heart, Bro, prepare me, create for me a pure heart, Ruach Nachon Chadesh Bekirbi, and put a proper spirit into my mind. This is going to help you in the time of Shemona Esrei. Remember, we said before, at the beginning of the Shir, we went over what we said last week. You want Hashem to listen to your tefillos, you have to prepare yourself. But we said you have to ask Hashem to help you prepare. If you don't prepare properly, He's giving you an eitzah that Hashem should help you prepare. Put your hand around on your forehead and say to Hashem, Leiv Tahor B'ro Elokim, give me a pure heart. Give me a pure heart. V'ruach Nachon Chadesh B'kirbi, and a proper spirit. Renew in me a proper spirit. That is ask Hashem to help you prepare. So it's wonderful. Wonderful. If you do that, you're set. Your chances of success are much, much more increased. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. We spoke about bringing children to shul. So there's a Bonav Aktanim in Gimel. It says, B'shla Korei Tagor. You see that Mishnah Berurah there? That's the white line, the Mishnah Berurah. Gimel. Bonav Aktanim. B'shla Korei Tagor al Hamivim Yiladin Beis Knesses. He's very upset. The Shla, that was the Shnei Luchos Habris. That was, who was that? Not Ratzal. Horowitz. Yeshaya Horowitz, correct. He was against bringing little children to shul. What kind of children? Children that are not yet in kindergarten. They're 2 years old, 3 years old. You shouldn't bring them to shul. Mitam ki hayaladim misachakim u'mirakdim beis. What are children? They don't have patience to sit. They're playing around, they're jumping, they're dancing, we're running in and out. U'mechalim kedush beis knesses. Here it is. Little children, babies. They can walk already. They're running in, running out. And this is, in Shlah's opinion, this is a profaning of the Kedusha HaMakom. Beis Knesset is a holy place. It's a holy place. You don't allow children to run in and out and play and jump in a holy place. A holy place has to have a certain decorum. Little children are not up to that yet. You want to bring the children? Keep them outside the shul. Have a shomer or somebody else out there. Maybe whoever it is, the wife, whoever it is, someone, watch them out, but not to be inside the shul itself. This is the Shlah's opinion.
Rabbi?
Yes.
Rabbi Davening's daughter, she goes in the back and she gets a little chair and brings it up to the bima and stands with her father while he's davening. It's a very beautiful thing. I think she's about 3 years old.
Amazing.
It is.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It's a very beautiful thing.
That's wonderful. That shows that he knows how to be mechanech his children. Beautiful.
And she wants to be close to her daddy.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Wonderful. Nice to hear it. Very nice. Okay. It says also these little children disturb other people. People look at them and get distracted by them. He says furthermore, if you do this all the time and let them go on the way they're going, these children are going to get older, they're not going to stop that kind of behavior. They're going to continue it on a higher level, on a more intelligent level. They'll run in, they'll go in, go out. They won't prepare them. They won't have a proper decorum for a Makom Kadosh. You have to realize you're in Hashem's home. You're not in your own home. People like to think, oh, it's a basic message. It's Hamish. It's Hamish. It's very, very homey, and I feel good here. I have my friends. A word here, a word there. You're in God's home. In God's home. It's not your own home. A special decorum is required in a basic Knesset. And little children, unfortunately, we're very happy to have little children, but this is not the place for them to be and let run free. If they don't have, they're not like Rabbi Diamond's daughter, then they shouldn't be in a shul. When they get older, they're going to keep on this way. Lo yisru minhagam hara, asher nischanchu b'yaldutem, nishtagea, ulevazot kedusha beis knesset. Ava kashigiu lechinuch, but on the contrary, he's saying, when the children are already older, they understand what you're talking to them. They're 5 years old, 6 years old, can reason with them. Adarabba, Yevi'enu itol the basic knesses, there Yedavka should bring them to shul, and also be mechanech them, teach them, train them, Yilamdeyu, Orchas Chaim, Leishem, Einu V'yir. If you're trying to get this across to them in the basic knesses, you have to sit with respect, with Yerah Shamayim. Here's the Aron Kodesh, the Sifrei Torah. On the contrary, at the time, but if you are able to do it, and don't allow the children to run in and run out. Because teach them to answer Amen to a bracha, and to Kaddish, and Kedusha, Ayin Sham, and something in that tefillah. But Ayin, he says, already on the negative side, trying to discourage, Gadol ha'onesh, sheyesh le'ha'av. It is going to be a punishment to a father, shemeniach es bano la'anos dvarim shel hevel u'tfilos beis haknesses. They allow the children to say all kinds of narish things, foolish things in the beis haknesses. He says that is considered to be profaning the kedushas hamakom, and the father is going to have to suffer for that. Who says that? That's Tanit V'Eliyahu. That's already from the Eliyahu Hanavi. This is a serious thing. So a father has to be very careful. He should bring his children to shul when they are of age, that he can reason with them, he can talk to them, but they're already in kindergarten or first grade, but they have to be trained that this is a Makam Kadosh, you have to listen to the brachos, answer Amen. That's the way to bring them to shul and be mechanech. Okay.
Rabbi?
Yes.
I would say too that during many blessings when you go on to the Tali to children.
Because Kohanim?
Yes, I think that's the most beautiful thing of the Shabbat service. Because it's connecting generations. I've seen 4 generations
Yeah.
under the Tali.
What do you mean 4 generations?
That they could go under the Tali together.
You mean the children with the fathers?
The father, children,
And grandchildren?
fathers, the grandparents.
They,
And it's beautiful.
I mean, the grandfather is the Kohen, and he has children.
And his son.
Well, his son is old. His son has the children, so his son is by himself. He has his own talus.
Right.
But the son has his children with him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's chinuch. That's fine.
And that's the most beautiful part of the service when it happens.
Okay, it's very nice.
Because the generations are connecting, and it's a joy.
Okay.
And nothing else can do.
Okay, it's very good. Fine. Okay, let's go to Sif Beis. Sif Beis in the Shulchan Aruch, up on top, in the middle. Sif Beis. Lo yispalu b'makom sheyesh davar shemavad b'kavanasa. You have to pick a place to daven, and make sure the place that you pick, beforehand you see it's going to be quiet, and you won't have things disturbing you. V'lo b'shah hamafatas kavanasa. Also, has to be a time that's going to be proper for you to daven. Okay. The Achshav, listen to what he says. Here is where the Baal Shem Tov differs with the Shulchan Aruch. Listen to what he says. I'm so sad to see this. But this is already written by the Beis Yosef in the 1500s. The Achshav is everything I wrote until now. Ein anu nizharin bekol zeh. He says it's very difficult for us to be careful with all these things. Why? This is submission to the situation. He's saying we're not there. We're not there. We're not at whatever he described until now, how people have to put effort. He says we're not there. He said, I'm looking around, the Beis Yosef is saying, I'm looking around. Are we living up to the standards that I just described? He says, we're not. Here's where the Baal Shem Tov differs with him. He says they're not able to keep all the things that we spoke about until now. He says they're not doing it. They're not doing it. It was in his time already, the 1500s, they already were weakened in that area. Not like the earlier generations, they were very strong. They became weakened. And he says, this is the situation. But the Baal Shem Tov differs. Baal Shem Tov was at the same time. Baal Shem Tov was in the 1600s and 300 years ago. He's afterwards. Baal Shem Tov is very, very makbid on the kavanos and he doesn't give in to all of this stuff, we're not nizzer. This is for,
What's the misery?
we're not careful about it. Baal Shem Tov says you have to, yes, be careful about it, and make sure that you don't have these kavanas. You can use the tricks that he brought here to get rid of the kanas, the PPP. Baal Shem Tov has other ways to do it also. And also, he also says the same thing about stopping. If you see that you have wrong kavanas, stop, don't daven anymore. Keep quiet until you get yourself back on track, then continue. That they agree on. The Baal Shem Tov would never allow himself to write such a thing. Now, in our times, we can't keep it up. We're not up to that level. Baal Shem Tov doesn't agree. That's not Hasidus. That's not Judaism, to give in, to say, we're not on the level, we can't do it. Why can't you do it? Who's stopping you? You have to bring a child to the basic Knesset? You don't have to. If you do, why can't you bring it and do it properly? All these things that we just wrote about before. Okay, so we'll just do the last sif, Gimel. This is a very important one, Gimel. Yispalel derech tachnuna. When you're davening, you have to do it in a supplicating way. Supplicating way, in a begging way. Kirush, like a poor person, hamavakesh b'pesach, a poor person who comes to the door, knocks on the door, can you give me something for Shabbos? Give me a handout. That's how you have to daven. Not to say, because I'm davening, therefore it's coming to me. Chalila v'chas. Yitpalel derech tachnunin, kirush, like a poor person, hamavakesh b'pesach, u'benachas. And certainly not just to go through the motions and you want to get through because that's the way I live my life. I daven and then I go about my. That's not a way to daven. You have to stand there and ask for something that you need, and like a poor person who comes to the door, he's hoping you're going to give him something. He doesn't know what your answer is going to be, but he's hoping. He's serious. He's serious. He's not just coming there because it's a habit. He comes. He's coming because he really needs it. That's how you have to stand in front of Shemona Esrei. Stand like a poor person knocking at the door. Hopefully Hashem will listen to you if you do it right. Okay, that's it for today, Rabbi.